Crim, you here?
I am.
Audio was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, is my audio in?
Status. If your box is checked, you good, bro.
Yeah, it should be. Alright, cool.
Nah. All right. There you go, sir.
Well, first and foremost, Q, greatly appreciate you, my good sir, because yeah, I was not about to do all of that finagling
Uh,
with the stream,
it was gonna take
trying
about
to get this
20 minutes,
situated.
yo.
Yeah,
I'm
nah,
sure.
nah, none of that's necessary. Alright, if you don't mind, 'cause I don't know where you're at on your screen, because I'm watching your ad right now, trying to watch the stream on my phone. If
Okay.
you could pull up the mock draft for me.
It is there. It's there.
Alright, cool. Alright, so we're not doing no official podcast here. We just having some very short, quick, easy dialogue. Nothing serious. This mock draft feature is a new thing that Madden tried to implement. Um, eh. Overall, it's a little wonky. Not like you can do a mock draft yourself. It's more so just based off of your scouting and what the game sees as your scouting, and just trying to say, okay, we think based on your scouting, you're looking at this player or that player, or because you did your focus scouting in free agent period 1 or 3 or whatever, we think this is who you're looking at. So we're gonna, based on what everybody else is picking and looking at, we're gonna list it this way. So, the mock draft, it has some tinkering that it needs to be done with. I know EA is not really trying to do any type of changes with the scouting feature, at least not this cycle with this Madden. So this is what we get. So it is what it is. It's just kind of there, but at the same time, though, it does kind of give you a little bit of insight on the people, the users that they're thinking about taking in terms of just like the players that they're looking at. So today I got Q and I got Crim here, and we're going to quickly look at some of the draft stuff that's here. Some of the top picks. We're gonna go top 15. We're gonna take a look at them. Just kind of give a general thought process of, okay, well, why is this the pick? Do we agree, disagree with it? Do we believe it? And just kind of just go through that. And then we'll also talk about just the biggest surprise that we see with the mock draft. And then we'll just kind of just have dialogue, conversation, and just see where it goes from there. So um, I'll start it off. Um, so in general, just talking about the mock draft, the first thing that I've noticed is that a lot of the picks, as long as like the actual picks didn't change, the players kind of stayed in the similar same position. There wasn't really too many changes between like mock draft 3, mock draft 4, and then mock draft 5, especially with like the top 4 and then some like in the middle of the draft. I did notice, obviously, when myself, the Falcons owner, when I traded into the top 5, it immediately put me as like quarterback. And hey, I guess the secret is out. I am looking at quarterback, so I'll go ahead and divulge that at y'all. Y'all can figure out the rest after that. Um, so I mean, no surprise there. But these other teams, not really sure. So that's where I can open the floor to Q. I go with you first. Um, this top 5 that you see, how do you feel about it? Do you feel like it's truthful, not truthful? You got any ideas on where teams could go, should go? If that's the actual pick they should have, or just tell me your thoughts about it, man.
So here's the thing with that. We could be 100% wrong, or this could be an absolute disaster of a podcast in hindsight, right? So I guess if we're starting with Detroit, you gotta kind of put yourself in the shoes of Marvin. And I say that because when he quote unquote tried, he had the Ravens dead to rights with a roster that was at the bare minimum before he lost. You know, so if he feels like he can get it done with that offense as is, even though obviously he's going to improve, then maybe he heavily invests in defense. Now, just me dealing with him for a long time, I'm not exactly sure if he wants to go edge rusher or linebacker or safety. Because let's be honest, Detroit has a lot of holes, bro. like a lot of them. And you can't even write off the fact that the premier pocket passer in the draft, which is a QB, can also be a viable option for Detroit. So Marv's pick is literally whatever he wants it to be because he also picks at 10, and whatever he truly neglected, pretty sure he'll make up for when he picks again 9 freaking picks later. So that's Marv. As far as the Giants are concerned, speaking of Malik often, in the beginning, it was literally we got to get Danny Dimes the F out of here. And despite him being able to move him, he never did. So that kind of would let you know Danny Dimes is not moving. Maybe he's not looking at quarterback. If so, that would be the dumbest shit ever. Right? One of his receivers retired. He could go there. He can go defense as well. If I'm him, probably leaning defense. Like, I can see Detroit taking Jefferson, and then I don't think Malik would take a coverage backer. So, like, that's what I'm saying. It could be like a crapshoot. Maybe 2 edge rushers go off of the board at that point. As far as Las Vegas, Kale is all over the place. I don't think Kale knows what he needs. But based off this mock, the Heisman winner is standing right in front of him. And odds are this kid is a superstar. And the Raiders don't have, a boatload of talent. So that's almost like a give me. I can see that happening. Don't get me wrong. I can see this Heisman kid going in any of these spots. But let's just say let's say this one fits the mold as opposed to the other 2. And so at 4, we got the Eagles. This is where everything gets dicey. I think that if Marv doesn't take the premier pocket passer, then I think that the Eagles take him here. I'm willing to bet that pocket passer is also a superstar. So, these top 5 talents, I would probably say if I had to bet, maybe 3 of them are superstars. Right? So, I would think the Eagles do that. Obviously you said QB, so let's say the second QB on the board, even though this QB here is quote unquote 1 as far as this current mock draft, doesn't necessarily mean that's going to stay the case. Maybe you take the other guy because they're kind of similar outside of like a couple physical attributes or whatever. But I can easily, well, you've already divulged that you're getting a quarterback, so that's that. Gabe is a special case. Actually, let's stop at 5 and let one of you guys give your 5. I don't want to have this be a long-winded ass answer.
Yeah, I was about to say, let me hit the 5 real quick. So so I think first and foremost Lions. So I've had lots of discussions with Marv about his team. He's mentioned multiple times he has the quote unquote worst roster, and he's done a lot of work this offseason to enhance it. He signed Raheem Mostert, or however you say that guy's name. I think he added who did he add on defense? I forget who he added on defense, but essentially he's trying to plug holes the way he can, as well as not spend too much money. So I think here is a prime spot to get your future quarterback. I just don't know if Marv will do it. I think Marv is between defense and a quarterback right now, and rightfully so. That Lions defense needs a lot of help. Before he got Mostert, his only superstar was an offensive lineman, so that's the only position group that actually has some real talent. So for me personally, I think defense is going to be the answer for him. I just don't know if it's going to be right in Jason Jefferson. I don't know if spending a top pick on an edge whose physical abilities are not like maxed out or like the top is going to be the right answer for Marv. So if it is, if it is a defensive end, then I don't know about Jason Jefferson. Going down to Malik and these Giants. So I see right outside linebacker Antoine Johnson, and the first thing I think of with Malik is speed. And then I go and look at this outside linebacker. He does not have speed. So I do not think this is the pick. I don't know why Antoine Johnston, whatever, however you say this guy's name, English, whatever. This guy, I just, I don't see him being the pick. So I know Malik has also mentioned after Danny Nichols showed up the entire game in the Super Bowl until the last like 2-3 plays of the game. So I know he feels a certain way about him, but I do think that when you have a quarterback you're building up, he has really good arm, really good accuracy, solid speed, like really good solid speed for the way that he plays his game. I feel like it would be not a waste of a pick, but I feel like he could do much better with that pick going defense or going wide receiver because, like you said, Q, he lost a wide receiver to retirement. Going one of those routes is probably his best option there. But if he did go quarterback, it'd be understandable. But I can't see it. I think Malik is much smarter roster builder than that, and I think he's going to want some speed on that defense to go along with the rest of the speed that he's got. Kale and these Vegas Raiders. Honestly, do not know what Kale's going to do. Kale could go a multitude of directions. I mean, he's got running backs, so he doesn't need that. Obviously, he's got wide receivers, kinda. I mean, he's got Ruggs. He's fast, but Kale doesn't really use him like how he probably could use him. Like Ruggs should be mini Tariq Hill, but he doesn't use him that way. I digress, though. That's not my business. But in general, offense seems pretty decent. I don't know how he feels about Carr. I don't know if he wants to replace him or not. I mean, he's 31. I think he's owed a new contract if he didn't already pay him. But regardless, I know that's a situation he's got to deal with eventually. I just don't know if right now is the time to deal with it. Defensively, I believe he has good defensive ends. I believe he has okay defensive tackles. I think where his issue is where he's projected to pick. I think it's cornerback. I do think that he has a cornerback issue after these older gentlemen start to regress that he has. Getting a cornerback, Tyrone Rainey, 6'3", 183, who actually has some pretty solid speed. I mean, it's not like burner speed or anything like that. I mean, he's going to be high 80s, low 90 maybe. Just depends on where the game decides to give you. I do think that he is a solid player to take. I think he's probably the first superstar off the board for sure, because he won the Heisman. So, I mean, like you said, it's a gimme. I feel like if you want to improve your secondary, and he may have 89 speed, 88 speed. I mean, at least you're getting a superstar. And if you wanted to switch positions and re-roll him, put him at free safety, I'm sure you could, and I'm sure it'd probably still work out. So, I mean, why not? So I think that's a solid pick. I do agree with Tyrone Rainey going third overall. To the Eagles. So the Eagles, I think they have 3 first-round picks. They got the number 8 pick, and they also have no, I guess not. I guess only 2. Okay, so they got 2 picks. So they got the number 4, and they also have the number 8. So I think I'm gonna guess here and say that he's fine with Jalen Hurts. I'm gonna say that he's going to keep him. He's a young quarterback. Yeah, his throw power is not up there, but he's got some good speed. I can't see him moving on from him. I mean, if he did move on from him and got another quarterback in the draft, he could probably trade Jalen Hurts and get quite a bit in return. I'm not sure how the trade calculator figures it, but just off the top of my head, just guessing, I would assume that he'd be able to get a pretty solid return. But that defense has issues, right? So the linebackers on that defense are not the very best. Fletcher Cox is not getting younger. I don't even know who their safeties are off the top of my head. So I'm assuming that defense is probably going to be the best bet for him. I don't know if Ronald Yates is the answer. personally, I mean, Falcons, we're set at middle linebacker, so I did not scout middle linebacker, so I have no idea how good this Ronald Yates guy is. All I see with him is that he's got elite jumping, elite speed, great agility, great acceleration, great strength. So my assumption is that this guy is, let's see, 4.49, and then I only got an A for hit power unlocked. I mean, shoot, he could be Patrick Willis for all we know. I mean, I don't know. Ultimately, I don't think it would be a bad pick for him. I do think defense might be the answer. I don't know about Ronald Yates. I do think there are better options, just from what I have scouted and seen, and from what others have shown me in their scouting. So I don't know. I don't know if Ronald Yates is it, but I do think that if he did take him, it would make sense. I've already given it away that I'm for sure quarterback hunting. That was the point of this whole trade. I feel like when you make a trade like that into the top five, it's for a marquee quarterback. So I mean, there's really not much to say or to guess there. Now with Kevin Williamson being the pick here, I mean, yes, the speed is eye popping. Everything else is like wow. But from what I remember, he didn't have a player story. And for me personally, I do look at those player stories and I say, okay, if they got a player story, then that can mean a lot. Or it can mean nothing. But more than likely, it means something. So I don't know about that. I mean, there's Kevin Williamson there. There is Kirkland there. Kirkland did have a story. So that's something to consider. And then there's Gerald Atkinson, who's essentially Kevin Williamson light. I mean, he just doesn't run as fast. So there's three solid quarterbacks there that could be taken. Maybe there's two left, depending on what Marv does. Maybe there's one left, depending on Marv and Malik, or Marv and freaking Brad does, the Eagles. So you never know. Top three or top five could have three quarterbacks taken. You never know. So, one of those quarterbacks hopefully becomes a Falcon. We'll see what happens. And if not, then, we'll scramble. We'll figure something else out. So that's it for the top five. We'll stop there. Crim, if you would ever so kindly step in and tell us about what you think about the top five.
Yeah, I mean, you guys covered it pretty well for the most part, so I'll be pretty short and sweet here. For Marv, I think that with Jason Jefferson on the edge, I feel like that's the pick for him. I don't think getting a quarterback up here is really the move. Just you have Goff. He's pretty much stuck there for the next 2 seasons. I don't think anyone's going to pay Goff the $30 million to play him for whatever reason. So I feel like Marv's kind of biting the bullet with Goff there. So there's no point in kind of pushing him to the back. You might as well play him if you're going to pay him. So I feel like his edge rushes aren't great. So I feel like this guy starts instantly, obviously, and then he kind of builds from there. So I think this is the move for him. Malik, you guys kind of covered it. Speed is his specialty, and I feel like he does need some speed on the defensive side of the ball. So I mean, Johnson's not the pick here, but I mean, he can easily find somebody else. I don't think he goes quarterback either, just because Daniel Jones brought him to the Super Bowl last year. He was literally a yard short of winning with that heave late in the game there against LB. So I don't think moving off of him is really necessary. So I think that this pick is off as well. But with Kale, like you guys said, it's a crapshoot. He can go anywhere. I feel like Rainey is the guy. You guys said it's a for sure thing here with this guy. So, and his cornerbacks are old. I mean, he went out and signed two aging guys, and they're 33 years old. So I mean, that's a glaring sign of you needing some young talent there, so that's kind of a given. So I would say this is right. These next two are kind of, I think they're spot on. I mean, I feel like these two are actually pretty good. Ronald Yates is pretty decent in the middle of the field. The Eagles do need somebody to kind of hold things down on that side of the ball. I mean, they kind of struggled doing that last year. Their middle linebackers they have now are pretty bad, so anybody coming in there is going to start right away and kind of command that defense. So I feel like Yates is kind of the best starting point, revamping that that unit there, and then Williamson, obviously, whatever quarterback ends up here for you, you're going to take. I mean, there's three, great quarterbacks there. If two somehow go, which is not out of the question. I mean, Kale can grab one, and if Hurts isn't the answer for Brad, he can grab one too. But you're kind of, your pick's either going to be made for you, or you have a choice between two quarterbacks. I mean, so that's going to be pretty easy for you to kind of decide between.
I fully agree. And I actually hope that's the case because curveball, if three of the top four pick a quarterback, you're going to see me reach for a quarterback. You're going to see me reach pretty bad for a quarterback. And yeah, I'm going to live with it. It's going to happen. So hopefully that does not come down to that. But we shall see. So now let's look at the next five. So the next five, and I'm going to start it off since I'm already talking. So the next five, we got the Bengals, we got Saints, we got the Eagles again, we got the Cowboys, and then we also have Lions again. So, looking at the Bengals, I can go ahead and say that this is probably not right. And the only reason why I think it's not right, because although it's a top five talent, yeah, if a top five talent slips out of the top five, you take the top five talent and you figure out the rest later. Fair enough. But the Bengals have a ton of receivers. And they don't have enough football to go around. To my knowledge, they still maintain Boyd. They still maintain... is Higgins still there? I mean, he should still be there. I mean, and they still got Chase. Honestly, there would be no point in taking a wide receiver unless you just wanted to be a creep. Honestly, I think the pick that should be made here should be somebody in the secondary because they lost Jesse Bates in a hilarious fashion. Sorry, Gabe, if you're out there listening. I won't divulge the conversation we had, but they lost Jesse Bates in a hilarious fashion, so I do think secondary might be the answer here in some capacity, whether it be another free safety or a strong safety or something. Just convert somebody from safety. I know there are some good safeties in the draft. You just got to weed through maybe like one or two attributes that are kind of iffy. So I'm going to say wide receiver is not it here. I'm going to say he's going to go somebody defense, somebody secondary. I mean, that is if Gabe's around because I know Gabe likes to disappear and not show back up until the last second. So maybe he doesn't even know draft time is going to be tomorrow at 9 Eastern. So who knows? We'll see. Moving on to the Saints. Tyree Sapp, huh? I got questions here, right? So the first question I got is, does he really trust those two quarterbacks that he has? Those not even 70 overall quarterbacks that he has. I mean, one of them's got a pretty good contract. Like, not good, but like good as in like, oh, he's getting paid for mediocre attributes and abilities. So does he really pass over a quarterback if one happens to fall here for a cornerback where he already has Marshawn Lattimore locked up? Again, it's one of those things where if there's a top five talent that drops, you take the top five talent and then you figure it out later. But at the same time, you can't neglect an obvious need. If you have an obvious need and it's something that truly is pivotal in the game, not just in Madden, but in actual football itself, like a quarterback, then you got to find a quarterback, right? So I'm thinking here, he's probably, if he's around and he drafts, he's probably going to go quarterback here. And I think it'll be one of those free-falling quarterbacks if there happens to be one that's left, and that's going to be the third quarterback off the board or the fourth, one of the two. So moving on to the Eagles. So the Eagles, they already picked one defender, Ronald Yates, middle linebacker. So it shows here they're taking defensive tackle Nick Parrish, which is one of my surprises because he's a second to third round projection, but yet maybe top 10 pick. I don't know if that'll be the pick. I got questions about it. But I do think that a defensive tackle this high, unless they're just like they got a story that shows that they're like freaking dominant, if they got elite attributes across the board, I mean, they got to be something special for you to take a defensive tackle that high. So, maybe not defensive tackle in my mind. I think for him, this would be another place where he could take a safety for another safety to go off the board. I'm going to say that perhaps he looks at strong safety to also be captain of the defense, kind of co-captain with the other middle linebacker that he would draft if he were to do that pick. I don't know. I just can't foresee him taking a defensive tackle that's projected to second to third round that high in the draft, and it's just a defensive tackle. That's just I don't know. I just can't see it. So yeah, I'm gonna say safety there. So I'm gonna say that's wrong too. So moving on to number 9, I see Trent Green, defensive tackle for Gomes. So Gomes, Gomes is a character. That guy, I don't know. That guy, he may actually do this, just because that man is he's not all the way there all the time. But I would like to think that Gomes would not take a defensive tackle here as well. I would like to think that he would be a little wiser than that. I wish Turk hadn't left because I wanted to kind of put Turk on the spot and have him join the chat anyway and have to tell us what the Cowboys need. But just off the top of my head, I'm gonna assume safety is probably still a need. I would guess offensive line maybe it's fallen apart a little bit. Maybe they still have marquee talent across the line. Defensive line is always something that could be had. I just can't foresee Trent Green this high. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I guess I would say offensive line if anything. I think an offensive line going off the board at number 9, best one you could find. I think that'd be a solid pick right here. I just don't know if that's something Gomes would do. He might even end up doing Trent Green. So I'm gonna guess and say that's the correct pick. I just don't think that's something he should do. All right, so lastly for this top 10, Julius Lawson. I think this is the pick. I think Marv is going to be able to get two of the best defensive ends and really set that defense off. Whether it is another defensive end and Julius Lawson here at number 10, or if it's, even if he goes quarterback and then defensive end here, I feel like regardless, he can do something really special with that team, that Lions team, and get two potential superstar players. Because I think Julius Lawson is going to be something solid. I think Julius Lawson, based on his physicals, he's got great across the board. He's got good for jumping. He's got solid for strength. He's one of the fastest defensive ends in the draft. He's like top 5 in every NFL Combine measurables. I feel like it would be a solid pick here, and I feel like it would really help set off that Lions defense to get him off the schneid on like at least having an identity with his team, because right now his team is just a bunch of misfits along with Mostert and Sewell. So I feel like getting him on board would be solid. I think getting two defensive ends, top 10 defensive ends in the draft, would set off his defense really nicely, and I think that would be a solid pick. So I'm gonna say that's gonna be the pick there. And yeah, I think that's it. So I'll move on to let's go back to Crim. So I'll move on to Crim. Crim, if you don't mind giving us your next 5 out the gate after the top 5.
All right. With the Bengals, I would agree with you. I don't think they make the same mistake. Essentially, not really a mistake, but you can't really build a winning team if you're taking a receiver in the top 6 picks back-to-back seasons and you don't actually need them. I mean, the offense isn't really the problem there, so I wouldn't say that they would go after Winston in this situation. So that pick to me is incorrect. I would say probably go defensive side of the ball. You mean you lost Bates, like you said, so they're kind of going to have to look to replace somebody like that in the secondary, so that's probably where they would go there. The Saints, they have kind of the ability to do whatever here. I mean, they need a quarterback, so if one falls there, obviously that's kind of the given pick there, but if not, they have to kind of go with Taysom Hill for another season or, kind of find somebody else in free agency before the season starts. I don't think Tyrese App's the pick here. I mean, they don't really need a secondary piece. I feel like they need more so probably a linebacker of sorts. I mean, I played them twice this year, and I didn't really feel like the linebacking core was too efficient. So I don't really see, one that sticks out. Unfortunately, so they might just pick best player available, which could be Tyrese Sapp at that point. So they might get stuck with him at that, in that regard. But I don't think he's really something that they need here. With the Eagles, that's I agree with you too. Nick Parrish being around 2-3 guy, he could very well be a really good player and be up here at 8. I mean, but if you're the Eagles, do you take that pick and use it on an interior lineman when you have bigger needs in regards to maybe replacing your quarterback? Your defense is getting very old. I know Fletcher Cox is up there in age, but you have a backup. I think he was 29 years old, so I don't think you really need to have this D tackle be your number 8 pick. So I mean, you can go with if you want Winston and your receiving core isn't fantastic. I mean, you have Rager and you have Devontae Smith, but if you truly want to give Hurts what he needs, Winston might be the guy here at 8. I mean, I know he's a top 5 talent, and dropping into 8, like you said, if they drop into your lap, just take them. If as long as they're in need, to some degree. I mean, you can't have a room chock full of receivers in Cincinnati, but he definitely would play in Philadelphia. With Gomes, like you said, I have no clue what he's going to do at all. I mean, he could draft the quarterback if one drops for all I know, just because. But I know he loves Dak, so he won't do it. But I don't think D tackle again is the move here. I do think that he takes him just because I think that the mock is showing us what he was honing in on, and the D tackle he really wants is going to be there for him. So I feel like he just goes ahead and just takes him just because he looks like a cowboy to me. It's really weird to say, but just looking at him on the screen, he seems like he's a cowboy already. So I think that's fair. And then back to Marv. I mean, I do like the chance to take 2 DNs for him, just to kind of get that out of the way. Your edge rushes are set for the remainder of the cycle at that point, so you don't have to really worry about that. And that's pretty big. I mean, I know those are always a necessity. Well, we saw Cody trade for one and give up potentially his entire draft this year and almost next year for Aaron Donald. So we know that pass rushers are a dime a dozen, and they get 2 in your first 10 picks and kind of knock that out in 1 year. The 2-year rebuild for Marv is looking pretty good at that point, I would say.
Fair enough. And I agree wholeheartedly. I think if you got the chance to do that, to do something special like that, get your defensive ends. When you have no defense, you can get 2 top 10 defensive ends. Why not? But that's all for Crim. So thank you for that, Crim. Q, you're next up. You can tell us what you think of the next 5.
Got you. Before I start, picks 3 and 4, as well as picks 6 through 9, are basically bot picks. So, with that in mind, you probably, for whoever's listening, should probably take best player available. But we'll start with the Bengals. Assuming his ass makes the draft in time tomorrow, or, well, later this evening, now, he needs talent everywhere. Whenever you're negligent enough to just let your safety go into free agency and you had an entire season to sign him, it's not a ringing endorsement that you're going to do the right thing as far as the draft is concerned. Maybe he does want to go 2 receivers. Maybe he just does what Madden asks him to do. We're not even sure. I'm not even going to waste time on that. Saints. Chan brought this man into the league and just left him for dead. It's almost akin to when LB brought Macaroni in the league and let him figure it out before he got himself removed.
Oh, all right.
Not saying that the Saints would get, not to say the Saints would get removed, but he's just kind of figuring things out. I could see the Saints taking Sapp here. I really could, because there's no guarantee Gabe is going to do anything of relevance as far as with this pick, which he probably should have traded away, but then again, he's not here, so there's that. As far as the Eagles are concerned, Here's an idea. You got 2 picks in the top 8. If you're dead set on getting a quarterback, which is why I don't understand, why is Jalen Hurts still on your roster? Why not trade him off, get even more picks, and build your whole team up, considering the fact that you got a plethora of picks now and forever? Doesn't make any sense. So he's either incompetent, no disrespect, or he's just drafting skill positions across the board. I can see the Paris thing being the case. Gomes, as far as Percocets and things are concerned, I would not be surprised if Gomes took a running back. And I say that because Gomes literally complained about Zeke. Sounds crazy, but Gomes needs a lot of help. The team is full of talent, and he's still drowning. Last cycle, when Mike had the team, a lot of talent, they were absolutely relevant. I don't really see a defensive tackle here. I think this guy slips. I really think that Gomes takes somebody on offense, or if the Eagles do not take Yates earlier on, then I think Gomes that would fall in line with his mantra to get like a fast running back that a fast linebacker that has high hit power and hope for the best. As far as Marv is concerned, it's really easy. I mean, the safe thing to say is to say get 2 edge rushers. But if I'm the Lions, I'm going to try and get with these top picks, franchise and or corner players everywhere. So if I got, in theory, the defensive end first, I would try and get the cornerback here. I mean, the quarterback, excuse me, or vice versa. But Marv has also said he's taking BPA. So Lawson might not even be there. And looking at his letter grades, and for the record, a lot of these dudes have terrible injury ratings, but we'll get into that at another time. You know, if I'm Marv, I take really good players at every position so that you can build around that team. And he himself said it's a 2-year plan. So I wouldn't go 2 defensive ends and then you turn around and still need a quarterback next year or whatever. You get what I'm saying? With your multiple picks or whatever it is, and as long as Castro is Castro, Marv's gonna be picking high whether he tries to tank again or not. So I could see Marv fleshing out his team with some actual thought that actually makes sense for the betterment of the Lions. So it is what it is.
And you know what? That's something I didn't think about. Just getting cornerstone players, building around those players. My mind, I'm thinking, if you can get the pass rush out the way, that's half the battle. Like, there's teams that are fully established that don't have pass rushers. So if you can get them, get them. But I agree. If you can get your cornerstones for a team that's barren like the Lions, then why not? Go ahead and get your cornerstones and just build around those 2 players and make it work. So now we're going to go into the next 5, and this is going to be it. So these are the last 5. So everybody that's 16 and down, no disrespect or anything, it's just too much to go through, and this is just us just quickly just kind of running through this. So I'm going to start it off. The Rams. So my question with the Rams is, do they even have a quarterback yet? Like, free agency is over and done with. Do they have a quarterback? Who is throwing the... Who they
They
get?
actually signed Colin Kaepernick in this last period.
Oh my gosh.
The fuck does that even mean?
Okay. All right. They're going quarterback here. If there's a quarterback available, they're looking at quarterback. In the off chance that there's not a quarterback available, they just got rid of Aaron Donald. They just let Robert Woods walk. So I know they got Kenny Golladay, but Kenny Golladay is 28. I believe he's going to start regressing. I don't know how old Cooper Kupp is off the top of my head. But I know that if they got rid of Aaron Donald, they don't just have a suitable replacement there. No disrespect to Castro in general,
I
but
have one question for you.
yeah. What's the question?
Did anybody see Kaepernick when he was in Pittsburgh before he regressed to the league?
You,
That's
uh,
it.
no disrespect to Zach out there. Hi Zach, if you're
No,
listening.
I'm not blaming Zach. I'm just saying, like, even if you're in the, I guess this is where I chime in. I guess even if you take, you're in the pocket with this quarterback, he's not making the throws, right?
Right.
And I know a good portion of the league, not to, steal your thunder or anything like that, like to drift and side scroll and all of that. If he was bad before and he's worse now, and you're gonna make these off-platform throws to these quote unquote really good receivers, you're digging yourself in a bigger hole because the quarterback that you cut, which went, I believe, to the Colts, is still better than pretty much every quarterback that was in free agency. So, logic suggests to me he takes a quarterback, but I'll let you finish.
That's where I was gonna go though. That last part is with him still needing a quarterback. Because after you said Cap, that's the first thing that went through my head is he still needs a quarterback. He still needs a quarterback. So if there's a quarterback that drops, he's gonna go quarterback. If there's not a quarterback that drops, he's gonna look at defense and try to replace the production that Aaron Donald provided. Now, if the draft shapes out the way it's shaping out, he's not gonna have too many options when it comes to that. He he needs to figure out how he wants to run his defense. That's the most important part because even with Aaron Donald, 99 broken, even
Bro,
with Jalen
the
Ramsey.
defense is the defense, man. I sat in a party with Castro yesterday. Zero blitz, back the corners off like they're in quarters. Hope you get pressure, get Ramsey burnt. For
Disgusting.
all of this trading Donald shit, trade Ramsey as well, control the draft, completely rebuild the team because nothing is happening with the best defenders in the game.
I think that's why I asked him that. I think I asked him in a party chat the other day with him getting rid of Aaron Donald, would he contemplate getting rid of Ramsey? Because I mean, if you're gonna do that, go all in. Just go all in, rebuild the whole team. Because you get rid of Donald, you steal Cody's draft entirely for the next season and a half, and then you can get Ramsey out of there, and somebody's going to give up an arm and a leg for Ramsey. So that's two drafts on top of your draft that you're going to have. No, wait, never mind. They gave their stuff up to the Lions, so that's two drafts you're going to have after having no drafts, and you can fix a lot of areas on the team. So I'm gonna say quarterback, and if not, pass rusher of some sort. So moving on to what is this? Mike in the Chargers. Harry Pryor. When I think about Mike, I think about him drafting offensive linemen. I just don't know why it is. He just always seems to draft offensive linemen with his first pick. I'm trying to think back because I hadn't been here in two Maddens. I'm trying to think back to the last Maddens that I was actually here, and I cannot remember a time where he drafted anything in the top, like in his first round pick. Can't remember him drafting anything other than an offensive lineman. So I'm gonna say offensive lineman is right. I'm gonna say this is Kerry Pryor. Sure, I'm gonna say Kerry Pryor's the pick. I don't even know what his offensive line looks like. I just know that Mike likes offensive linemen with his first round pick, which is not a bad deal. I mean, not a lot of people are going to be headhunting for offensive linemen, even though they probably should. They're going to go after what's flashy. They're going to look at what's fancy. Offensive linemen are just not that. So I think Kerry Pryor, yeah, sure. I'm going to say that's the pick. Jaguars. Okay, so I'm going to tell you now that this player right here, Jimmy Easley, strong safety, my favorite player in the draft. He is Sean Taylor Jr. If you guys do not have this guy scouted, I think this guy is going to be one of the best players in the draft. Jaguars getting him, I can absolutely see it. I think that defense, which used to be a really great defense, had an exodus of talent. I think the way that guy plays with his 3-3-5 and the way he likes to just kind of throw it at you and expect you to, take L's to it, which
Yo,
I
pause.
did. What's up? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was egregious.
Fair enough. My bad. Sorry. This is a children's stream, so I apologize to all the children out there. Y'all know who y'all are. So moving on, I'm gonna say Jimmy Easley. I'm gonna say Jimmy Easley is probably the pick. I'm gonna say this guy is probably going to be overdrafted, but I think he's going to be worth it in the grand scheme of things. I don't think I think there's 3 safeties that are like really good. And I think the rest are kind of iffy. And I think this guy is probably the best safety in the class. So I'm gonna say Easley to the Jaguars. Great pick. I'm gonna say that's gonna be it. Crim. Crim. These beloved Carolina Panthers that I absolutely hate. Middle linebacker Luke Ross. He looks like Kuechly. So
That nigga ain't the real Luke, man.
he's not. But maybe for nostalgia's sake, maybe Crim. I mean, Crim could speak to it without telling us if he doesn't want to. But he can speak to it whenever it's his turn. But Luke Ross, huh? I don't know. I don't think Luke Ross is it. But he's fast though. He's got elite speed, elite strength, great acceleration. He has a hit power. I mean, he looks like the truth. So maybe he actually is. Maybe he's the guy. Maybe he's the guy. I'm willing to bet with Crim that he looks offensive line because his offensive line is not that great, and especially in a division where you have the Tampa defense, you got the Saints defense, Falcons are trying to figure stuff out with their defense. I think offensive line is a solid pick here if he goes there because it would be the second offensive lineman off the board, which there are some really good offensive linemen in this draft. People, do not sleep on that. So I'm going to say that's probably it. Or this middle linebacker. I think Crim might have found a diamond in the rough here, and I'm going to say he might be the pick for him. I know he has to pay Darnold, so I guess he has to figure out if he wants to use him or not. But other than that, I don't see him going quarterback here. If I don't even think quarterback will be available for him here unless he reaches. So Luke Ross, sure. After seeing his physicals, I'm gonna say that's the pick. So number 15, this is Garl. Garl in the New York Jets. Him and I worked diligently on getting a trade done to swap 5 and 15. So now him at my old spot is looking at cornerback.
Shout out Malik while you doing this to his side.
I'd shout out Malik if he had did me a deal for number 2. I would have shouted him out, sent him some money on PayPal or something. That would have been my best friend for life. But I digress. That didn't happen, so it is what it is. But cornerback Carlos Spencer for the Jets. I think cornerback is a solid pick here for him. I don't know if Carlos Spencer is the pick. I want to say he's like the second fastest or the fastest in the draft. Or no, he's 4th fastest. Wow. All right, there's some fast cornerbacks in this draft. So he's got really great jumping. He's really fast. Pretty good change of direction. Okay. Yeah, I can see it. I'm going to say this is the pick. I don't know if there's going to be another cornerback that drops to him. But just thinking about how his team is constructed, he's got OBJ, he's got Kareem Hunt, he's got a solid offensive line, or at least is getting there. Like it's getting really good. Like he's got a good offensive line, it's getting really good now. Defense, he just got Grady Jarrett on the defensive line, along with Quentin Williams and that Lawson guy that freaking won defensive end of the year or whatever. So he's got solid players there. Linebackers, I'm not too sure about. Cornerbacks, though, I can't think of any cornerbacks that he has that is just really good. So I'm going to say Carlos Spencer. Yeah, I'm going to say that's the pick. And if not Carlos Spencer, I'm going to say he goes somewhere in the secondary, like free safety or strong safety, one of those two. I know he has Marcus May, but I think Marcus May has to get paid. I don't know who's that strong safety for him, but I'm just assuming that if it's not a cornerback, it's going to be one of those two positions back there in the secondary. All right, so that's what I think of the next 5, and that's going to be the last of the 5 or the 15 right there. So we're going to go Crim, and then we're going to go Q to wrap this up for us, and we're going to peace out. So Crim, if you don't mind telling us what you think about the next 5.
All right, so we're starting back again with Castro and the Rams. I don't know what to do here for this team. Like you said, replacing Aaron Donald is difficult. I mean, obviously he's a generational talent, so it's kind of hard to replace that with a single draft. But I don't I don't mind it being an offensive lineman here. I don't think it's going to be, just because it's not like a flashy pick, and I feel like Castro is somebody who doesn't want to draft a lineman here and kind of have nothing to kind of hype up to a degree. So I don't think that Lance Cunningham's really going to be able to pick here. I can see it being a safety of sorts or somebody on the line, obviously again, but I don't know who, because there's a big gap between Lawson and then anybody else going forward once Detroit kind of goes. So that's difficult, but I don't think that Lance is the guy here. I do agree with Kerry Pryor being the guy here for Mike, just because it's kind of how Mike operates. Um, I wish I had the option to, have Kerry Pryor there at 14 and kind of give it some thought, but I think that Mike does take him here, so that's not, a surprise. Easley, yeah, that's, like you said, the best safety in the draft. So I think that he does go here. Jacksonville kind of needs to revamp that defense and bring it back to, where it was a couple of years ago. So this is kind of where they can start. They have a decent core with Miles Jack. They lost Calais Campbell a while back too, so they haven't had like a pure edge rusher for a while instead of Josh Allen. So like they can kind of go wherever they want on defense. But I think that Easley is kind of the end all be all there. It's the best safety in the draft. You think you said that drops off fairly well following that. So I think taking him there is simple. For me, Luke Ross, I mean, giving away everything and nothing at the same time is fine. I mean, if he's there and I can take him, cool. I mean, I'm okay with him not being there and not taking him at the same time, too. I don't know right now what I need. I have essentially like 15 hours to figure it out. So we'll find out quickly, I guess, what I'm going to be looking for. But I have no problem taking Ross here. I have him scouted. He does look like Luke Kuechly, and I kind of am biased in regards to wanting him on my team for that reason only. But I wouldn't mind having Ross here. I wouldn't mind having Pryor there. I wouldn't mind having a lot of people in this range, so I don't really know. We'll see how the draft plays out. I'll just be kind of taking this BPA, so we'll see how it works out. And with Garl taking your pick here, I do think that the corner goes here. I mean, they don't really have a glaring need elsewhere, and I don't really think that looking at the players below them, you're going to go and grab a receiver, you're going to go and grab a outside linebacker, and everybody else kind of doesn't really fit the mold that the Jets need to kind of continue with. So I don't think that anybody but Spencer is really taken here.
Fair enough. And with your commentary about Luke Ross, yeah, you and your affiliation with Luke Kuechly, I don't like it. I hate it. I hope you don't get this guy. I hope you draft a bust. Just letting you know that now.
I also want to point out what you said earlier about needing an offensive lineman, and my line is not very good. That is true. However, that same line allowed my boy McCaffrey to run for like 200 yards, something stupid like that, on the Buccaneers defense that you brought up specifically in week like 15 or some shit. So if they're okay, if I don't take one, like I'm fine with them the way they are, but at the same time, that's the strength of this draft, so I feel like there's going to be shots to be taken with those linemen in the second round, third round, and going forward, so I don't really want to prioritize those guys, but if one falls into my lap here, I'll take them.
Okay. Hey, you know what? That's more than fair. I will say, though, on Matt's defense, that Matt was struggling big time when he went to play you. That time that you threw up 200 yards rushing on him. He was struggling big time. I forgot who he lost to that he had no business losing to. That he had another close, scary game against somebody he had no business having a close, scary game with. He still played well to make the playoffs, but he was in a rough spot. And then you just so happened to face him in that rough spot. So I'm going to shoot him some bail there. All right. Moving on to the last bit of this stream. We're going to let Q go ahead and tell us what he thinks about the last 5 of that top 15. Go ahead, Q.
the Rams. If all he needs a quarterback, yo. If all the quarterbacks are gone, I could see him taking another corner to pair with Ramsey. Not that it makes a damn difference in the grand scheme of things, because as long as Bryce is drifting and running, and Jesse is bombing coverages or whatever, he's not going to the playoffs. So I could see him taking defense or quarterback. At this point, I do think all the quarterbacks are gone at this point. So, you know, I can easily see him, well, not him, but Marvin picking somewhere around here again next year due to the way he plays the game and has yet to adapt. As far as Mike is concerned, this is like the one pick here that makes sense. As far as the Chargers are talented pretty much across the board, I can see him actually taking an offensive lineman. I don't know how much is that's going to help him versus Denver now, but improvement is improvement. So I do see Mike actually taking Kerry Pryor, and as long as he's able to build upon what he was doing toward the end of the year, he should be in playoff contention without a doubt. As far as the Jags are concerned, it's a fun young franchise with, you know, players pretty much in different spots. So the Easley pick kind of makes sense. I will say, for those who need safeties, if you're not getting your safeties early, then best of luck to you. You probably should have did it in free agency. I can see Easley going here and effectively removing the best safety off the board, and after that, it's almost a crapshoot. As far as Crim, this nigga will never be Luke Fortune. You know this. I think this
Unfortunate,
is
but
very clear.
I do know this. I do. I mean, he might live longer than Luke Kuechly did in past cycles, so that could be good.
As long as the offense is McCaffrey running and passing, you need 3 Lukes. And I'm talking Kuechly. It's going to be difficult to get into these shootouts with teams in your conference. The Giants, the Buccaneers, even though you've recently had some success against, you know, them, if the Falcons get it fixed. The Niners, the Cardinals, so on and so forth. The Vikings. This can help you limit the scoring, but you still have to make better decisions on offense. So if Kerry Pryor actually fit the mock, this one kind of fits too, because, you know, the Panthers weren't blessed with Henderson and Gilmore, so you had to figure this shit out, right? So this is like the next best thing of figuring it out. And as far as 15 is concerned, quiet as kept. Gall's defensive line is really good, man. Really good. If you just look at his front seven, you're like, oh shit, he got something going on here. I can see him taking the corner. I do think if this safety that Jacksonville is projected to falls down to the Jets, I do think that he takes him. But he still has a young quarterback. He has weapons or whatever the case is. But I also wouldn't be surprised if he took a receiver here, like the best receiver that's currently remaining on the board or whatever. If he gets his head out of his ass and stops playing, you know, bot ball, I think that he can be the, you know, the girl who had Kirk Cousins and won double-digit games. So all of this is left up to, you know, I guess we'll see. Certain things are like as certain as death and taxes. Half of these bots will be bots. So there's that. But I do wish them the absolute best, you know, in the draft. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be watching this draft and basically shaking my head, pause, at some of the dumb shit that I'm about to see, but ain't my picks. I don't care. So these are just my thoughts, ladies and gentlemen.
Fair enough. And that's it, man. That's all we got here. We just wanted to quickly go through the top 15. Like I mentioned, We could have went through all 32. It's just too much. I mean, look, the stream's been going for like what, an hour? Like, nah, we're good here. So everybody that's listening, remember tomorrow's the draft, or I guess today is the draft, depending on if you're on the East Coast. 9 p.m. Eastern time. Do not be late because it will start right on time. But I guess if you're a lower pick, then I guess you can be late. But don't be too late because you will end up missing your first round pick, and the clock is gonna wind. It's gonna go. So it's no pausing unless there's like literally like some kind of crazy event.
Glad you said that.
Yeah, unless there's some crazy stuff that happens, there's no pausing that's happened. You're going to get 90 seconds. I think it's 90 seconds, right?
I think it's 2 minutes.
Okay, so
first round, and then I think after that it starts to become 90 seconds.
Okay,
something like that.
Okay, so you'll get your 2 minutes at the beginning of the draft, and then after that it's going to be 90 seconds. The clock is running with every pick. So again, this is not just like, hey, can you pause it for me so I can go walk my dog real quick, then I'll come right back. Nah, none of that. So make sure you're ready. Make sure you got your list ready. Get your favorites on your draft boards and all that stuff. Get everything situated. We will catch y'all live and direct tomorrow or today, depending on if you're in the Eastern time zone, 9 p.m. Eastern. 9 p.m. Eastern at the hour, okay? So not within the hour, not within the next hour.
I see what you're doing.
At the hour of 9 p.m. Eastern.
9 p.m. on the dot.
On the dot. That button will be pushed. The draft will start. All right? So we're going to peace out of here. Crim, Q, y'all got anything to share before we dip out?
I look forward to after the third round concludes and everybody says put me on auto because they're too lazy to finish the damn draft. Put yourself on auto, and if a lot of good talent goes late, hint hint, and your ass is not around, and if you cost your team talent, that's you. You suck as an owner. So put yourself on auto if you're done, and best of luck to everybody, unless you're a bot. So that's it.
Crim, you got anything for us?
Absolutely not.
To piggyback off that hint, I've done multiple mock drafts, multiple run through a franchise, simulate it, get to a draft just to see what the draft looks like at the end. And every single time, the best player in the draft has not been the first round. I'm just throwing that out there. All right. And I've done multiple. Turk can attest to it. Q can attest to it. I've done multiple. A lot more than I'm embarrassed to admit how much I've done. So
nigga said he ain't had no time. So
I'm just saying, bro. Look, I had no life, man. I was waiting.
Better listen to him.
So I'm just saying, if you leave in the middle of this draft, you're losing out on a chance to possibly get the top player in the draft or one of the top players in the draft based on talent. So, again, stick around if you can. Try to wing it. I mean, it's a long draft. I understand you want to go, but let's try to stick it out. All right, so we're peacing out. We'll holla at y'all 9 p.m. Eastern at the hour. We're starting the draft. See y'all later.